Good evening, everybody, all you busy people. We certainly appreciate you coming and checking in on our no, this is not equine, this is Nutrigenomics tonight to learn from Lillian, who has been seriously involved with dogs. 50 plus years. She bred my Labrador. I have one of her babies and he's 6 years old now. Wow. But what a
Oh,
wonderful. So she's been breeding and training and showing. And not before that, but during that time, she got a degree in biology, which so helps us all understand what she's going to tell us about tonight. We're blessed to have her on our team and so willing to share what she knows. It's so exciting to learn from Lillian, and she does the best slides and demonstration. I'm excited to see what's new because there's always something new. And if you have, when you have questions, please write them in the comments here. And this is going to be posted on the Facebook group as well, the Canine Nutrigenomics. So write your questions in there too in the comments, and we'll check back and forth and get them answered as soon as we can. So thank you for being here, and thank you, Lillian, for doing this presentation.
thank you, Carolee. I'm so excited. We haven't done this in a while. And like you said, I was like, oh my God, we have so many new stories. So like up to this last minute, I was like adding videos to show you because we've had some amazing, amazing new stories. I'm apologize. I'm a little sniffly. I think it's the the change in it's hot and humid today here in Florida, and I come in the air conditioning, I get chilled. But yes, like Carolee said, I was given a beagle when I was 12 years old after bugging my mom to death. And I've never been without a dog. At my highest point, I had 10 dogs at a time, golden retrievers and Labradors. And I've done everything from conformation, agility is my love. And now lately with my 14-year-old dog, Amelia, I've taken to scent work and I'm madly in love with it and I'm having a lot of fun. So I've always had an interest in holistic, or some people call it alternative healing. I like to call it holistic because it involves the whole body. And I've been doing raw feeding for I think like 30 years. And one thing led to the other. I was living in Venezuela at that time and trying to find a homeopathic doctor, and I've used back flowers and massage. When we moved here to the States, I had a pool to rehab dogs. So I've always been into that. What else can we do besides drugs? And what led me to that was having issues with my own dogs that I would take to the vet and they would prescribe medication. They'd be fine for a month and then we'd be back in the same, like it was the same thing over and over and over. And that made me think this can't be. So I was introduced to Nutrigenomics. I think it's going to be almost 12 years. And I had amazing, amazing results with a dog that I really thought I would have to put down in a few months because she could hardly walk and needed help and things like that. And it's so hard when you see your older dogs start declining and you don't want them to suffer. And it's that, like you're torn between, oh, it was a good day, oh, not such a good day. And it's just so hard. So when I saw this dog's turn around, it really made me pay attention. And like Carly said, because I have a degree in science, I was like, I really need to know like why this is happening. Like, why did this dog go from not being able to get up without help to raiding the kitchen counter in a matter of months? I could, that's with me. We're going to be talking about nutrigenomics and activation. So actually, this is Sabrina, and this is how I invited everybody because it was so striking the difference for me. So when I was introduced to NRF2 activation, this is that dog that almost couldn't get up, and she was 13 at the time. And then this is Amelia, and I remember taking this picture really close to her 13th birthday. And I came upon this picture, you know how you start browsing pictures on your computer, and I go like, oh my God, like I couldn't believe it. So I went back, and the difference to me was so striking. The look in her eyes, how perky she is, the fact that she had very little grain compared. And they're not related. They're not like mom, daughter, but it's my same lines of Labradors that I've had all my life. So that to me was really, really just like the proof what else do I need to see? Like, this is just amazing. So that's why we like to call it the science that shows how we can change gene expression to slow down aging and optimize health. Because just like for us with our dogs, we don't want them to spend the last 2, 3 years of their life like having to go to the vet and getting procedures and getting medication that might make them feel sick, or chasing them around to pop a pill down their throat and then they stop eating and things like that. For me, the quality is so important. And right now, Amelia, she turned 13 in June. Her blood work is great. We're doing scent work. She's happy. She's alert. So that is very, that's what I'm after. That's what I want for all my animals. And in all my years of looking at holistic healing, one of the first vets that I came across was Dr. Martin Goldstein with this book, The Nature of Animal Healing. And he says something very striking. He says, when I graduated Cornell in 1973, approximately 1 out of 10 dogs had cancer, and it was always a disease of the old. So if they saw a dog that had a lump, but the dog was young, they really didn't think, that it could be cancer. And he says that now they diagnose dogs under 18 months old with terminal cancer. And this is it's a docu-series, it's a 7-part docu-series where they say 50 years ago, the estimate was that 1 in 100 dogs would get cancer, and today it's 1 in 1.65. So they believe the dogs have the highest rate of cancer of any mammal. And then this book that I love, The Forever Dog, it's also written by Rodney Habib of this docuseries and Dr. Karen Becker. And they also say that dogs have 35 times more skin cancer than people, 4 more times of breast tumors, 8 more times bone cancer, and twice the incidence of leukemia. So it's really striking how in a matter, he's talking 73. So in a matter of 50 years, we've like diminished the how our dogs live. And now they say that 50% of dogs over 10 will get cancer and die of it. So this Canine Nutrigenomics is a book actually written by Dr. Jean Dodds, where she explains all these new discoveries about how nutrition can affect our gene expression. And I really love what she says here. You have more influence over your dog's health than you ever imagined, even when it comes to the most serious health conditions. So don't give up. And I really like that, because this is all about, giving people hope. So what is going on? Why do we have this amount of disease? And you're probably familiar with this. Dogs and cats are exposed to a massive amount of environmental toxins. They have smaller bodies. I mean, we are as well. So everything I'm saying here applies to us as well, sadly. But they have a smaller body. They walk barefoot. They lick their feet. They don't have options to escape some of that. Like if we walk them on grass that's contaminated, well, that's where they're walking. They don't wear any shoes. And most of the dogs are fed kibble, which is really, it has a lot of issues for that. I could talk about that for hours. So I really recommend that The Forever Dog. If you read that book, you'd never feed your dog kibble ever again after everything they say. But it's just this bombardment of things, from EMF and Wi-Fi, the stuff that we use to clean, the air fresheners, all the pesticides in the food and the herbicides in the grass, the toxic flea and tick collars, pollution, and then all the drugs and the vaccinations. And although we're focusing on dogs, but the main, it's the same for horses. It's the same for all animals. Some people have goats, some people have sheep, some people have, we're all in this really toxic environment. So what these environmental toxins are causing is free radicals. And free radicals in turn create something called oxidative stress. And most people are familiar. They've heard about free radicals, but not oxidative stress. But oxidative stress is just free radical damage, and it leads to inflammation. And eventually, when inflammation is left unchecked, it causes disease. So there are over 200 diseases, including cancer, for both humans and animals that are associated with oxidative stress. And what is happening, we're familiar with this process, right? You cut an avocado or an apple, you leave it out, and then when it's exposed to oxygen, it will get brown. So what is happening is these free radicals that we're going to call the bad guy are stealing an electron from a healthy cell to stabilize itself, and that then causes the healthy cell to become unstable herself. And what we're having is just too many free radicals. It is estimated that a dog makes 300 septillion, that's 300 followed by 24 zeros, free radicals per day. And this is going to affect every single organ system in their body, their brains, their heart, the kidneys, the liver, joints, gastrointestinal system, immune system, blood vessels, skin. Dogs have lots of skin issues, lung and eyes. And the skin, it's interesting, like most people complain like their dogs are getting ear infections or skin issues because the skin is really an organ. We don't think of we think of the heart as an organ, but we don't think of the skin as an organ. And it is one of the largest organs in the body, and it's a way for the body to detox from some of this stuff that's going on inside. So all those itchies and hot spots and coat loss and all of that is a manifestation of the body trying to get rid of some of this oxidative stress. So when we improve and reduce oxidative stress, then you're in turn going to see the opposite. We're going to see reduced pain and inflammation, faster recovery from injuries, more energy, better gut health. So a lot of dogs also have, they throw up or they don't want to eat. And that's just a signal that their gastrointestinal system is suffering. In horses, hoof health, which is so important for them. Of course, we talked about the coat. Respiratory is also super important for horses. It improves circulation. There's less fatigue, reduce allergies, and mental clarity and focus. And for those of us that compete with our animals, the reducing the muscle fatigue and the mental focus and clarity are huge. They're very, very important. So what happens is that up to now, what we've been told is like if you have a good diet where you intake a lot of antioxidants, a lot of fruits and veggies, and the broccolis and the green leaf and things that have lots of color, that we are combating that oxidative stress. But that is a very, very slow and inefficient process. So it's a one-to-one. What this means is that one antioxidant from an apple or a blueberry will neutralize one free radical. But we already saw that we make this many. So this is just barely making a dent, right? And most of the dogs that are on kibble, there's nothing with color in there. So we're trying to supplement, right? We add vitamins and minerals and oils and things like that, which some are good and are needed, but it's just a very inefficient process. So there is a better way. And this is where this nutrigenomics comes into play. It's how nutrients can affect our DNA expression. So what they've discovered is that every gene has some sort of direct or indirect relationship to nutrition, and we really, really are what we eat. So your genes can be turned on or off, and then there are certain nutrients that would turn on the genes so that they are activated. That's why we call it activation, to make more of these good enzymes, these good antioxidant enzymes, that then they are giving this free radical to the bad guy so that it kind of calms down. So this is a keyword, enzymes, because enzymes are very, very powerful. And think of enzyme as something that saves the body. It makes the body more efficient and use energy better. So this is a little silly example, but like if you go to the fair and riding the wheel would cost you $10. If we add enzymes, it would just cost you $1 per ride. So enzymes basically save energy and they make the body a lot more efficient. So what is happening is one enzyme, remember with a direct antioxidant, it was 1-to-1. Well, with one enzyme, we can neutralize up to 1 million free radicals per second. So one of these can kill a bunch of free radicals, and then that will have a really a profound effect into not letting those free radicals lead to inflammation, which in turn lead to disease. And with NRF2 activation in particular that we're going to be focused on, there's an enzyme called glutathione. And with this NRF2 product called Protandim that we're going to be talking about, they were even able to patent it because it alleviates inflammation and oxidative stress. So this enzyme, some products, like for example, we've heard of milk thistle, it activates this glutathione, but just a tiny, tiny bit. But with this formula, it's 18 times more effective. So that's why the product is actually called an NRF2 synergizer, because it's the synergy that compounds the effect. So this glutathione in particular, I like to focus on it because I believe that most of the problems that we're having with the dogs are because of those environmental toxins. So glutathione slows down the aging, reduces muscle and joint discomfort, detoxifies the liver, improves the skin, improves athletic performance and recovery, among, also mental focus, and improves quality. And what is happening is that as we age, this is a chart that's for human, but exactly the same is happening for our dogs, for our animals, is as we age, the blue line represents how the oxidative stress levels go up. So you see till like around 40-ish, we're doing okay. But then that oxidative stress starts increasing dramatically, almost exponentially. And our glutathione levels that were high up here when we were young start declining also dramatically. So these two effects are what will accelerate that aging process. And then each animal or each person is going to manifest it in a different way. Some people suffer from diabetes, some people suffer from cardiovascular health or mental issues like Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that. The other big component of how we age it's called the mitochondrial theory of aging. And you may remember mitochondria from 6th grade biology. The mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. So if you remember that, it is true. They're basically like the batteries in our cells. So what happens when, we're familiar with what happens with our phone, right? We panic like, oh, you have 10%. And we know it's going to die. So basically, your cells also die when they have no energy. So the mitochondria are supported by physical activity, good environmental health, which we know is not really the case nowadays, healthy food, and that is what keeps your mitochondria healthy. And then toxins that we know that our environment is overridden, unhealthy food, in the case of the dogs, just eating kibble, stress will lead to mitochondrial dysfunction. And then they put out a bunch of free radicals, and then the energy in the cell is depleted. So mitochondria are so important. I did not know this. Adults have 100,000 trillion mitochondria, and the body makes 2 billion mitochondria every second. So that is how crucial they are to our well-being, to just being alive. So when the mitochondria don't work, you can have a whole host of things going wrong in your body, because the energy is so the food is transformed into energy in the mitochondria, and that's where the cells get the energy from. So nothing in the body can heal if the mitochondria are not working properly. But thinking about dogs, I mean, how many friends do you have that have dogs that have seizures? A lot of dogs, and especially cats, are diabetic, and then heart disease, unexplained kidney disease, cancer, and liver failure. When your kidney and your liver and your heart start not working properly, the end is near for our animals. So this is a book. It's fascinating. If you really like scientific, it's not an easy read, but it was given by a friend, and it's called Tripping Over the Truth. And these are a bunch of scientists that insist, and they've done a lot of studies where they believe there's a link between faulty mitochondria and cancer, because we have been brainwashed is not the proper word, but we have been led to believe that cancer is genetic, right? It's a mutation in your DNA, it causes cancer. And what these scientists have found is that they did an experiment, for example, if they had a cancer cell, the nucleus of a cancer cell transplanted into a normal cell, and the cell remains normal. But if they transplanted the mitochondria from a cancer cell into a normal cell, then the cell becomes cancerous. And that's when they started thinking like, like, why is this happening? So they discovered that cancer cells have damaged mitochondria. And then these mitochondria start sending like these emergency signals, and then the DNA responds and it starts exhibiting the hallmark features of cancer, which is uncontrolled proliferation, which is for formation of tumors. Then the DNA mutates, and then this called elevation of cell death. So cells, they have a life cycle. So they're born, they reproduce, and they live for a certain time, and then they're replaced. They're supposed to be replaced by new healthy cells. And when that process is messed up, then the cells keep on proliferating, and that's that they believe that's one of the theories of how tumors are formed. So to wrap all this up, what they have discovered is that we have pathways, and think of a pathway as instructions. So, for example, a recipe to make a cake, a blueprint to build a house, instructions on your GPS to get somewhere. Okay, so think of it as instructions. So NRF2 is instructions that talk to the DNA in the cell, and it tells them how to make more of the antioxidant enzymes that now we know are super powerful, 1,000,000 times more powerful than just eating good food. The detoxifying, here's our glutathione, and it's not just glutathione, there's a lot of other detox enzymes. And then anti-inflammatory enzymes. So these are going to protect the cell against oxidative stress damage, and it signals the DNA to make all of these good enzymes. It repairs the DNA, and it also regulates that programmed cell death so that it works how it should work and not be all messed up. And then there's another set of instructions called NRF2, the NRF1 pathway. And when that is activated, it increases mitochondrial function and network. So you read that, what was it, 100,000 trillion mitochondria? So they form little networks. So like, think of it like little strings of pearls, and they're all together working very, very coordinated. And it will increase the production of that cellular energy. So we think of energy as kind of not getting tired, which is a part of it. But energy for the cell is the energy that is needed to make hormones, to make proteins, to protect the cell wall, for cellular communication, to make all these, this internal pharmacy that we have. That is, the body can do that because it needs this ATP, which is the energy currency that is made in the mitochondria. So you will have improved physical performance because you have more energy, but it's not just that physical energy, it's just energy for the body to heal. So what this company that we represent called LifeVantage is discovered that they can activate these pathways. They activate these instructions to our genes with natural compounds. And it's a certain ratio that's very specific, and they were able to patent it because they were able to prove that it reduces that oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. This is unheard of. So what they did is they did a human study, and see, the light blue is how the oxidative stress increases as we age. So this is a 20-year-old person, this is an 80-year-old person. And what they discovered is that when they were giving these subjects this formula, the oxidative stress level remained the same. So at the end, they could not distinguish the blood of a 20-year-old person from the blood of an 80-year-old person. And that was such a profound proof that they were able to patent it. And then the same thing goes for the activation of this NRF1 gene, so they can measure the activation. And this specific blend of these herbs will create a 65 increase in the NRF1 gene and 71% in this other gene. They're both needed for that mitochondrial function. So to put everything in just one screen, activation is literally turning on all the good genes, our survival genes, our anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and detoxifying genes. And it also turns off some of the bad genes, those genes that, that mess up the cellular, that apoptosis, that process of the cells living and dying when they need to. So this product, NRF2, will provide protection, detoxification, and anti-inflammatory properties. And then this one is for healthy mitochondria and vitality and energy. So this combo is absolutely amazing. I give this, especially with the rate of cancer, in dogs, that stat that 50% of dogs over 10-year-old will get cancer and die of it. I have started adding this. I give it 3 times a week. This one is very easy. There's a dog product, but most of us have large dogs. So I've been using this for 11, 12 years. If you have a small dog, you can use the pet product, but it's weight dependent. And then the NRF one, I'm giving about 3 times a week. This is a capsule, and the herbs don't taste particularly wonderful. So it's hard they could probably get less. They could probably get half a capsule, but I don't know if the dogs would eat it. So here we have so many before and afters. I'm just going to go quickly over them because, like I said, pictures worth 1,000 words. We don't claim that this treats, cures, mitigates any disease, but you see what happens. So a lot of, the skin issues, apparently Shar-Peis are very prone to have skin issues, and people these are just with the NRF2, unbelievable results. This is a puppy totally losing all her hair, and reasonably, 3-4 months, and they're doing really good. Inflammation, another skin issue, more skin. This is a greyhound. Also, they found this lump. They started activating, and all of a sudden the lump is gone. And Maggie, you need to unmute yourself and tell us our story. I was like, when I saw this, I was like,
okay, this is my little girl Thistle, and she was approximately 1 year old, and she liked to go in and I have goats, and she liked to go in and aggravate the buck, and she would, jump against the fence, and he'd butt the fence, and we got in the cart to leave, and all of the little teeth between the canines were pulled completely forward and sticking forward out of her mouth. And we took her to the vet. He wasn't sure at first if she hadn't broken if the jaw was maybe broken. And he, left me in the room for a minute, went and worked on her. And he says, come on. And he checked, there was no broken bone. And he actually took each little tooth and lifted it and put it back into its socket. And then he you can see the wire on the inside picture that goes around the yes. He put that through to hold the little teeth in place. And then you can see it on the outside over in the other picture around the canine.
Yeah.
But he said, all we can do now is see if she'll heal. And this picture was taken very shortly afterwards. You can see a little bit of the inflammation. Mm-hmm. Yep, right there. And her mouth healed just unbelievable and just quick. He was worried the teeth would die because they were actually pulled out of their sockets. And he had to, kind of fish them back in. And so we were really pleased. And, you got to kind of think that probably her being on Pet Tandem probably helped with that healing.
Yeah. Wow. Poor baby. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so here, these are, I call them elusive diagnosis, is when, you go to the vet and they're like, oh, it could be this, it could be that, and then, try this, try that. So that was Thelma. She was very sickly. They had her on antibiotics. She wouldn't eat, and, she would just lay here. And then Carolee got in contact with her. This is a lady in UK. And we got her the product, and she started giving to her. And shortly after, Thelma, I mean, I love this picture. It looks like a painting. She was like, she goes out with the horses, they go out to the country and walk around. And this is something that's also very important, is like, you know, this is not like foolproof. It doesn't mean that we're never going to get sick or there's never going to be issues. Because Thelma has had a few incidences where she's, you know, gets sickly again, but she bounces back so much quicker. So instead of, you know, weeks and months of, you know, this going to the vet and antibiotics and more and come back, and she's like, she might be sick for a few days, she doubles up the dose, and boom, you know, within a few days she bounces back. And then Walter was told by 2 different vets that he needed to be put down because his kidneys had stopped working. And this is, again, when Kara Lee contacted his mom, he was just wasting away. He wouldn't eat, he wouldn't drink. And again, he wouldn't eat anything. So we dissolved the protandim NRF2 in water, and she was using a syringe to kind of force him to eat it. And same thing, within a few days, he started getting up and drinking water. Then a few days later, he started eating. And within a couple of weeks, he was like going with his mom on the boat in the lake and following her to the barn. And we were like, oh my God. So unbelievable. He bounced back beautifully. And Bella is a really sad story because Bella it's called a shunt liver. And it's basically, there's an issue with her liver. It's a genetic condition and they're born like that. And again, she was told by 2 different vets she needs to be put down. This is how she was, all bloated, wouldn't eat, wouldn't drink. And we started activating her, and she lived another 6 months, which is good, and, you know, happy, a good life. She was eating, drinking. We knew it wasn't going to be forever, but she had another good 6 months. And then Biff was a rescue from the Williston Animal Group, and I volunteered. He was diagnosed with lymphoma. The prognosis for lymphoma is 3 months without chemo and 6 months with chemo. So not that it's great. And of course, the rescue didn't have the money to do the chemo. So I offered that I would pay for his NRF2 and NRF1. And get this, Biff lived 20 months. Like nothing had happened. He had great quality of life until the week before they had to decide to put him down. But that is, you know, what, 6 times what okay, let me stop this because it's very noisy. So here we go. This is, I love, both these dogs were told that their legs had to be amputated. So Duke had a cruciate ligament surgery on this leg, and then he started limping on this leg. And then the vet said, well, we don't think that he's going to be able to have another surgery and put all the weight on, you know, recover properly. So he had been limping, I think, for over a year. And then finally the lady listened to me. She says, I wish I would have listened sooner. And here he is. This is about 3 months later. Here he comes running. And this is about 2 years ago. And I always message her before using the testimonial, like, is he still doing good? Yes, he's still doing good. And Eli passed away this year. He was 13 from an unrelated issue to this. It was something else that happened. And Eli was limping so badly, when they did an x-ray, they thought he had bone cancer, because this is what a normal knee should look like, and this is what his knee looked like. So they did some, what is it they call it, that surgery where they kind of clean up a little bit, all this debris. He was still limping, and they said, well, we're going to have to amputate the leg. He's going to have to, get a cart, because the other leg wasn't looking too great either. And this is him. This is 4 years after this x-ray was taken, and you cannot even see a limp on that dog. So just great results. Okay, let me stop this and stop this. Okay, so this is Carolee. This is Lisa's story. You know this story better than I
do. I know this story real well. So this is Lisa's elder dog. He's older to start with, and he was run over by a car and dislocated his hip badly. We took him to the we took him to the emergency clinic and they said, oh, just, you're probably going to have to cut the top of the thigh bone. I don't remember what that
Yeah.
surgery is called. But fortunately, we took him to another vet. The vet shoved it back in where it belonged. She took him home. He had been on Protandim already, and she doubled it up. And he's an old guy. And he just instantly started feeling better.
He's the brown guy, right? The brown one.
Yes, he's the one on the top. That's Turbo, your baby on the bottom.
Oh my goodness. So obviously he's feeling great. Everybody's feeling great.
He's still feeling great.
Okay. And then Uno, oh my God, this story, I want to cry every time I talk about Uno. So his mom comes back from work or wherever she was, and she found him paralyzed, his back legs paralyzed. He could not walk. You're going to see this. You want to cry. And this poor little baby. So her neighbor, who is activated, offers her like, hey, just give him this. And she started giving it. And what you're gonna see next is like 2 months after. We got the little progression of how he got better. But I just want you to see how he went from this. This is 2 months later. Like nothing had happened.
Yeah, buddy.
And the worst part is that when they took him to the vet, what the vet said is that he needed surgery, and it would be between, I think, $6,000 and $8,000. This family does not have the means to do that. They were thinking of starting a GoFundMe, and this, we call it affectionately our little yellow pill. 8 weeks later, and he's doing awesome. So. Well, we were talking before, the prevention part is huge for me. This is how I started talking about it. Like, I want to give my dogs the best life possible without the suffering. So this is my thing. Let's help them celebrate more birthdays. And I came across this study a few years ago, and it made me really sad. So we've all heard this thing about one dog year is the equal of 7 human years. So if your dog is 2 years old, your dog is 14. Well, it turns out that they did a genetic study at the University of California in Davis, and we are really, really off. So dogs age exponentially during their first 4 years of their life. So actually, when your dog is 4 years old, he's the equivalent of a 52, 53-year-old person. By the time your dog is a year old, he's like a 30-year-old. So when I took my puppy, he's 17 months now, but no, this was Carolee actually when she took Turbo to the vet for his puppy, routine stuff. And the vet said, you're already activating him. And we were like, why, what? Like, why so soon? They're just a puppy. She says, no, prevent. So since she said that, because I have Turbo's 2 sisters, so they've been activated since they're like 4 months old because of that, because we really wanted this prevention thing, like why wait? And as you've seen with these examples of these dogs that have been activated, how when we have these oopsies, because dogs sometimes get in trouble, well, then they recover much faster. So that to me is one of the main reasons that I really, really started activating all my dogs super early. These are another few examples. Because there's also like a behavioral component. So Jordy, he's a gorgeous dog. You see him here. He started having, I could not call it, but like panic attacks. He would come to agility class and all of a sudden he would run, get in the car. We couldn't get him out. And we couldn't see any rhyme or reason. We started activating him, and because he also started getting startled, like at dog shows, like if the loudspeakers came up or a dog came and, barked at him and he wasn't expecting it, he would like put his tail down and boom, like just wanted to leave. And a few weeks later, he was here, winning best in show or something like that. And Saya was a rescue, and we think she might have been kind of like tortured a little bit by little kids because she was deathly afraid of little kids. And same thing, I would have to stand really far away during class. And she got something called hemorrhagic gastroenteritis, which is caused by stress. And they literally start bleeding. They almost bleed to death. So they rushed her to the emergency room. And that's what the vet says, like, well, we saved her this time, but it can come anytime. It comes unannounced and you might just lose her. And I suggested like, hey, this is not going to hurt, whatever it helps. And never again. And again, this is another dog that's been about 5 years on activation, never had an issue again. And Emma, she passed away some time ago, but she was an agility dog. She won like, I mean, after this, like 2 or 3 more agility trial championships. And these are pictures of her that span 6 years of her life, of her competitive life. And as you can see, look at her jump here. So this is her jumping. It's a 6-year span, and she's pretty much jumping the same height. I mean, they lowered the jumps as she got older, but she kept jumping like this, like she could. It's, to me, this is just unbelievable. For those of us that have dogs and we compete with them, you know, you put in so much time into training, and it's really devastating when you have someone say, oh, you know, I need to be a couch potato. That happened to me once. A lot of times I think some vets don't understand, you know, when you've been training with an animal 6, 7, 8 years, it's just this relationship that is, you know, it takes a lot of time to build. Not that, you know, you have a pet, it's the same thing, but it's just another dimension to this issue. And Pip is a very interesting case. She's also in UK, and Pip was bitten by a bee, and she had a really, really severe anaphylactic shock reaction. And after that, her heart was suffering. She was not able to run. So the reason this is an issue for her is her dad is one of those ultra marathon, those crazy things that you see on TV where people carry, you know, these weights and full stuff, unbelievable. So I think he runs something like 50-kilometer races or something. And Pip was like his training buddy. And she had to stop going with him. And then this lady started activating her and an older dog. And when they took her to the vet a few months later, the vet couldn't detect a heart murmur. And then the other thing that happened is this lady has 4 dogs, 3 wolfhounds and Pip. And one of the wolfhounds went to a show, and when he came back, he came back with the respiratory virus. And the 2 dogs that were not activated got it, and the 2 dogs that were activated got it. Did not get it, sorry. So needless to say, now everybody's activated, including the husband that does the ultra marathon. So another great story. And these are our old guys. Okay, so this is Lacey. Lacey's Carly's baby.
Tell my Lacey story.
Yes.
Okay, so Lacey was 12 when Lillian had me start my wonderful little girl on the pet tandem, but she had gotten so much pain in her joints that she quit playing, and her whole mission in life was to please humans and run and play with them. So she had to stop doing that. Well, shortly after she started the pet tandem, my little girl would, our game was racing from the house to the barn. I'd be in my cart, a gas cart, and she'd be racing. It's about 600 yards or something, I don't know. And she started it again. She couldn't do it, and then she started running and playing and bounding and aged backwards dramatically. That's what got us started in this whole Life Vantage project here. It's wonderful.
And this is amazing extension. I mean, this is like unbelievable. She was 12, right?
She was 12. Yeah, she's 12.
So this is my Amelia, because I'm so proud of her, because we're doing scent work again. This is her doing scent work at 14, almost 14 and a half years old. We went to a trial yesterday and today, and she qualified 8 out of 10 runs. My little old girl, everybody was fascinated, like, how old is she? Oh my God. This is Rio. It's he belongs to where Carolee trains her horse, and you can see him here, how difficult it is for him to, you know, maneuver those steps, and you know, it's kind of painful to watch. You know, he's literally lifting himself with his front. And then here is Rio a few months later, you know, playing. He's bringing the ball and playing, and super happy. And this is old, and I mean old, I mean like it's a few months, and his owner has told us that he's doing even better. And then this is Kanga. Kanga is Libby's dog, and Shelly, sorry. and he's 17, and look at him go. Woo! I think the UPS truck is there or something, and he's like just being the guard dog. It's just really, it just warms my heart to see these little old guys like.
I'd like to add to Rio. So I went out I go out twice a week to go ride, but Tuesday I'm like, look at Rio. He's getting better. He's getting better.
We need another video.
Yes, we do. He's getting better. He's getting fitter. He's lost weight. He's happier. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful.
And these are some other random cases. So this is the cat, because remember, this NRF2 and NRF1 pathway that we talked about is present in all mammals. And this nega she belonged to a friend of mine in Brazil. It was a rescue. And when they found her, she had broken her foot, her leg, and it had already healed that way. So you see her little pad is here, and she was using this part of her paw to put weight on. So this horrible callus had formed. And we started giving her the NRF1 and the hand cream, and it started kind of like just healing. And it's like it turned into this little, kind of little callus here. And then Elle is a hedgehog from Vivian, who does hedgehog rescue. And then the exotic vet is super, super expensive. So the rescues don't have the money. And she had started to lose all her quills, and her belly was all pink. And then we started, I gifted her, I said, if I send you some NRF1 pills, would you give it to her? She's like, yeah, sure. So I sent her, because she was so tiny, I sent her, I think, like 8 pills and a hand cream. And she's like, oh my God, she's healing. I can't believe it. And she was able to adopt her out. So I'm going to kind of gloss over through the horses but you can see here, like, oh, horses get even in more trouble than dogs. And we'll do another talking about horses specifically. But this is a little recap so you can see the different products that we use on the dogs. So the NRF2 Protandim that we affectionately call the little yellow pill, it's very easy to break up. So we give about half a caplet up to 50 pounds. And for acute cases, we might double up for the first 10, 15 days, and then you can lower the dose just so that you can save some money. You play around with it until you find a dose that they maintain. What I do for my dogs is if they have to have any kind of invasive, like, stuff for fleas and ticks or vaccinations, then I double up the week before and the week after to help with the detoxing. This is the NRF1 that I was explaining, comes in a capsule. So it's harder. I mean, some people are very patient and you can buy capsules at the health food store and then break it in half. I think they do well with half a capsule. I just do it three or 4 times a week, and I just give them a whole capsule. Remember, these products are not drugs, so you can't overdose. There's no bad side effects on anything. The Protandim is a product that's formulated specifically for dogs. It has the added benefit of having avian collagen and omegas. So it's great for skin and coat. There's we haven't had any issues with dogs that are allergic to chicken, because this is extracted from it's chicken collagen. It's not the protein. So apparently that's where that doesn't create an allergic reaction. And if you have little dogs, or people that have little dogs that are 10 pounds, 5 pounds, they eat it like a treat because it has the bacon flavoring. This one you have to kind of disguise in the food, and it's easy to break up in quarters or halves. And then for some of the skin issues, well, this is no longer available. I forgot, I have to update this, but they have an anti-aging cream and also a hand cream that is NRF2 activated. It has the same NRF2 activation ingredients, and it can help with a double whammy when you have like really bad, like if I have a hot spot or things like that, I like to use the cream. I was doing a little experiment, but I waited too long and the pictures don't do it service. But my dog, she got into trouble. They were chasing something and she got in between the AC and something, and I think a limb or something. She came and she had a gash over here, and then that turned into a hot spot, and it was a huge mess. And I started putting just a little bit on the top half, And the hair grew so much faster in the part that she was getting the cream compared to the lower one. And then Axio is NRF2 activation for the brain. And there's been a lot of talk about doggy dementia and dogs having cognitive issues. I use this, I give it to my dogs when I compete in agility because it's just for focus. And they love it, they take it, so I use it. There's another product that came out, an activated collagen, and some people are using it for horses, for non-sweaters, and we have some really interesting results. I'm also giving a little bit to my 14-year-olds, Amelia and Oliver, and I have seen a little spike in the little pep in their step when I added the collagen. But of course, it depends on how many animals you have and your budget. So, but anyway, we have a great team of animal lovers. I heard a little bird say that maybe Maggie is going to join our team, and we're super excited. We love what we do. Our mission is to help 100,000 animals live longer and happy lives just by sharing this information. So we have a large group of people. We help a lot of people because Vivian was one of them that after she had the results with the hedgehog, she says, oh, could this help me? And it turns out that she had a whole laundry list of issues that where she was benefited greatly her health. So if you would like to join us, there's a start kit that's just $50, and then you can pick your favorite products. And they also have some distributor packs, which is a big savings. It's like 20% savings from the retail price, plus you get free shipping and you get some coupons to offer 10% off to your customers. So it is a great, I can attest to the fact that my husband, his company closed down suddenly and we didn't know when it was going to happen. And I would have probably just drowned in stress. And thanks to the income that I have from LifeVantage, that is not happening. So we can hold up for a few months until we can start collecting Social Security, and which is not going to be a lot anyway. You can't live just on that. So it has really become a huge help to our income for our retirement. It really, really has. And I love, just working with people that are animal lovers like I am. And of course, the goal is, we want less of this suffering and for them to live as long as possible. So if you're watching the replay, get back to the person that invited to you. If you have a comment, I'm going to edit this and then put it in our groups. So if you have a question, you can put it in the comments, and we monitor that regularly. So we'll answer for sure. But if someone gave you the link and invited you, then get back with them either to order the products for your dogs or for your family. Everything I said applies exactly the same for humans. And if you want to join us, become a consultant, we can give you some more information.